Okay. Wow. This is a really good day because what has arrived on my doorstep today is the second edition box set of Age of Sigmar. Yes. Now I've received this a little bit behind everyone else. I'm living in the Czech Republic, and and although it has arrived here first, I had to order it 2 weeks in advance. And I'm not a big channel or anything. I don't get free stuff given to me by Games Workshop. So what I have here is this is the box set for Age of Sigmar Soul Wars, and it is the second edition of the game. And if we turn over the box here, you can see it's quite a hefty box there. There's quite a lot in it. If we turn it over, we can see that there are a number of different armies and forces within the box set. You have the forces of the Stormcast Eternals. This is the Sacrosanct Chamber. They are the wizards and the magically imbued versions of these Heavenly Warriors. And then on the other side, we have the Nighthorns, a ghostly army which are under the control of Nagash. Okay, sorry about any reflection from the box. I've still got the plastic on it because I wanted to be able to share this with you guys straight away. So, as you can see, some beautiful illustrations on the box set. There's there's a little bit of introduction here. I'll read it if you can't see it. So, venture into the war-torn mortal realms. The mortal realms are the dominion of tyrants, monsters, and ghosts. Only the strong survive, but Sigmar's chosen may yet turn the tide. The age of chaos has brought terror to all the lands, and the legions of undeath are on the rise. But those who seek to be free have been given another chance by the coming of the Stormcast Eternals. The opposing forces of light and darkness are represented in this box by the warriors of Gnosis Heaven-Sent Sacrosanct Chamber and the Nighthorns of the ghastly Malandrek, a Knight of Shrouds who seeks to steal away the souls of the living. This box also includes a full-color rulebook for the Age of Sigmar tabletop wargame that casts you as commander in an epic combat. And it contains 2 armies to get you started, 52 miniatures in total, a 320-page core rulebook, which is hardback, a sort of like a little campaign booklet, a little 16 core rule book, little 16-page core rules booklet, so you can just see the very basics. A little book on how to start, and some war scrolls so that we can play the game more easily. So I'm going to start by undoing this box. Got my trusty knife right here, and I'm going to start undoing some of this plastic. I'm not going to rip it out, unlike Twisted Shadows, who would rip it to pieces in order to do this. But I'm just going to take this off now and potentially remove any of this. I want to keep the box intact because it's a really beautiful box. I'm trying to be careful with all this plastic. Okay, so let's take this off. Quickly. It's a little bit, the actual camera itself is a little bit too close to the table. So I may have to try and raise it up later. So we've got the box here. And I'm sorry about any wobbling camera. I'm going to try and move the camera slightly so that you see a bit more of what we've got on the table. Okay, here we go. So got the table here. It's beautiful. Let's move you over here. Then I can do this properly without having to reach over at an awkward angle. All right, so 2, 3, here we go. Okay, so you can see the whole table is set up for painting. We had a painting session. Have a chance to see that. Then that was with on Twisted Shadows channel, which is linked to mine, and you can have a look at that. And that is her painting Neferata while I was painting some of my ghostly ghouls. So I'm going to start to take this, start to open the box set up a little bit so you can see. Okay, so it's quite, as I said, quite a hefty box. So let's take the first layer off the box right here. Be careful, I'm already tearing things I don't want to tear. It's a really heavy box as well. It's quite heavy. Okay, First of all, we open it up. There's a nice bit of cover art there, which shows the two forces in combat with one another. The forces of the Stormcast Eternals on one side, very pretty in their gold armor, and on the other side we have the Knight of Shrouds and his Nighthaunt host. Now, if I'm correct, we should just be able to lift out these two different parts. So first of all, this is the first part. Let me just move that away for the moment so that we can see in the very bottom of the book, first of all, this is the big thing. This is the change that has come over Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Fantasy Age of Sigmar recently, is that in the core books now, they are giving you a full-sized, hardback set of the rules. Now, I'm very clear. I'm going to put this here. It says core book. Notice it says, here we go, reading it, the core book, not the rule book. Okay, rules are out of this whole thing. Only about 16 pages are actually the rules on how to play the game. The game is very easy in comparison to some other war games that I've played and to actually get to. So I'm also going to take off this. I don't know what I've done with where's my knife gone? Where's my knife, which I was using to make sure I didn't damage anything? Ah, found you. So we've got the core book. If I just very, very carefully take that off. We're going to take all this off. Lovely, lovely jubbly, as they say in England. Lovely jubbly. Beautiful hardback, really nice book. Gorgeous in lovely sections inside. If you look at this, there's a whole section on the different realms that you can play and lovely maps and lots of fantastic, beautiful artwork to introduce you to the different races that you can play. Look at, there's even a giant, for the first time we have a map of the spheres of existence. It's flat. It makes me laugh. It's just, I keep thinking of the Discworld when I see all this, but this is just part of the different realms of existence. And there's this is all fluff. This is all information and stories and beautiful, beautiful information. And then here we've got some lovely images of the different types of models that you can buy, different armies, rules for playing different magic spells, playing in different realms. Absolutely everything. And of course, battle plans to show you how to play matched play and to play games with your friends, narrative games as well. That's match play. Then we've got narrative play, and then we'll have open play as well. Siege warfare rules, lots of beautiful stuff, and I cannot wait to read through. This is going to be fun. This is my holiday. This is my summer holiday. Getting through this. Now we've got a section of other things here. You'll see we've got a little booklet here, the Battle for Glimsforge, and this is going to be a small campaign which you can play with your friends, or you can play. I don't want to say on your own, but you can play. You can get straight into the game, and you can be playing a battle from the Mortal Realms. On the other side here, we have. This is obviously the How to Paint book. It teaches you how to paint, the sort of paints that you're going to need to play. And lovely thing which they've started including in these new box sets is some cards. And these cards are like sort of quick rules, so that you don't need to go and search through the entire book for the rules. Obviously, all the models in here in this box set are new, and they don't have their codex yet, their battle tome, which won't come out until some point next week. So they need this so that you can start playing straight away. You can add it to your regular army, and you can play a game with them. I'm really looking forward to playing Stormcast that actually have the ability to to use magic, which is wonderful. The one thing the Stormcast were missing. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Stormcast gets everything." Well, Stormcast are amazing, so yeah, I love them. And there's lots of new races and information out there. We've got the entire brand new race and brand new expanded race in here. And this is something that GW is doing really well at the moment. They have not abandoned their old model lines. What they've done, or they have not been in the process of abandoning their old model lines. And I'd be interested to see what they do, maybe if they work with the free guilds or they do the other ones later on. But what they've done here, wonderful range of new models for this ghostly army. Beforehand, there were maybe three models, maybe three models, and that were actually Nighthaunt. Now the Nighthaunts have battle line units of their own. They've got their own heroes, got their own spellcasters, and they did this before with the Brides of Cain. And the Brides of Cain, were just one box set, sorry, two box sets, and they basically turned them into a force which is far more in detailed and in depth. So that's in there as well. And as we see, what a wonderful, lovely piece of information, lovely picture here. This is definitely going to be going in a frame somewhere. I'm going to cut this out, I think, frame that so I can put that somewhere in my geek room. And then if we take that out underneath, not only that, we have some little transfers that we can use on our Stormcast. We have a lovely set of very nice little dice here, some sort of aquamarine colored dice. I love these. I love the dice from my Dark Imperium set, and I love these dice. So they're going in my dice collection. Some little tips on what you might want to buy next. A couple of these for the bigger models, and all these models are push fit as well. I want to point out all these models are push fit, so you don't actually need lots of glue and cutting and sticking to put them together. They'll just fit together straight away. And of course, a chapter from the new novel Soul Wars. Now I've got this book already, but I haven't started reading, and I'm going to be putting this in my I think in my classroom somewhere, so that any kid who's interested in it might read it. Maybe just for the older kids, because there's a lot of death in these books, but you know what, you've got to introduce them to Warhammer sometime, and that's why I'm going to go out on a limb here, probably turn half of the community against me and say that I don't have a problem with those with the Warhammer graphic novels which are coming out, which are designed specifically for kids. I don't care if you're babying it up. I think that if you're giving an in to get younger people into the hobby and you're doing it at the same time, I'd like to bring a point out here that another person who you may have seen on this channel, a vendor and I were discussing. We were saying, you know what, I mean, yes, there are the hardcore fans, the people who love the game, and people who complain, you know, it makes it more childish and babyish. But you know what? Star Wars has done exactly the same thing. They had the Clone Wars, which were a cartoon series, which I know are more popular amongst adults than children. And then they've done Star Wars Rebels, both of which have been incredibly successful series. Yes, they've left questions, but they've started to fill in the plot holes. They've become canon, and have some adult themes, darker themes. I don't think it's fair for us to judge those books until we've seen them, and also I don't think it's fair for us as people who are not going to be the main audience for them to judge them. I think that we should leave that to the kids and the people who are going to be reading them. If there's anything wrong with them, I'm sure that they will. I'm pretty sure that that will be addressed at some point in the future. So, all right. So we got this box. This is now where we have a look at the minis, and then we open this up. We can see glorious, glorious miniatures. How beautiful they all are. Lovely little bit of packaging there to protect the delicate plastic. I like that. A whole huge bag of lovely things for my things. And look at all this. Look at the detail on these models. This is the Knight of Shrouds and the chain, guys. And this is just love it. And you can see it's all push fit. This is all push fit. You can stick all this together. It's absolutely wonderful. You won't need to buy anything major for it. All I'll need to do is go over it and do a bit of mold lining and make sure there's not very many mold lines. But and of course, with push fit, you do need to be careful. You need to sort of just push it together and make sure that there's not a huge gap. If there is, well, the green stuff putty that will sort you out, or you can even just use a bit of the plastic glue and sort of very subtly sort of blend the melted plastic together. So here we got lots of nice pieces from the I have to say, I am really happy that these are pushed. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy, and I'm pretty sure that you know what, these will come out in their own boxes in good time. But I think to get an army started, push fit is good because you know which bits go with which bits. It doesn't take us long to put it together, and these can be quite fiddly. I mean, I love it. There's still thick plastic. Even that, you see that there, that is rigid plastic. Unless I really bent that, it's not going to snap. And these things are just great to get started with the hobby, and it just causes so much less hassle. I will be using glue, most likely, even though it's push fits, because I just like to make sure 100% certain that it's going to stick together. But really, there's nothing wrong with any of this. Look at this. These are beautiful. So happy with what they've done with these guys. All these ghosts, so many ghosties and ghoulies. I love it. And then, funnily enough, that's the ghost gone, and now we've got the Stormcast, which, and I'm going to be pointing out some things here if we have a look at the Stormcast. There's so many different models here, but this is what I love about the new approach that GW has taken. The Stormcast fluff, the stories that they've written, and I know people say there's not very many yet, but you know what? It took years for Warhammer Fantasy Battles to build up its lore. And what we can see here, but in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar fluff, there is so much there that is that talks about how there are women in the Stormcast Eternals, and that the women are in positions of power and leadership, and have an equal role in the Stormcast Eternals hosts to the men. And I think that's something they addressed very quickly. When the original models came out, a lot of the models they approached were male. A lot of people they approached were male because the models were male. And I think a lot of people complained about that. They said, well, where are the female heroes? If the male heroes are here and the female heroes somewhere else. Now, I have my own theories, and I was thinking maybe they were going to do a sort of Sisters of Battle style army where all the female Stormcast were in one host. But then they completely blew out of the water. People like Josh Reynolds and other writers, like Gav Thorpe, completely blew that out of the water and said, no, there are Stormcast in positions of power in all of the Storm hosts, and they have there are female Stormcast and male Stormcast. It's sort of an equal opportunity. It's equal opportunity for divine reincarnation. But as you can see here, we already have several. We have at least one female Stormcast in this one, and at least one in here. I think there's two female Stormcast in the Castigators unit. The Knight Incantor is a female Stormcast. We've got, and I also I'm going to point out one more thing here. I love that they didn't go for, I don't want to use a term here, but I love that they didn't go for the boob plate. And what that means is normally when people are creating female models, they have the breastplate is often in a lot of model systems is molded to the female figure, let us say. Whereas when I painted Bright Shield, who was the first female Stormcast that I painted, yes, there is the model is definitely feminine looking, but it's not looking that way and sort of accentuating it. It's more like, no, we just need to take into account for the fact that females have different body shapes. Yeah, and that was good. And the model went to paint. It was very weird painting a delicate sort of Stormcast. Not delicate, but a sort of differently proportioned Stormcast. All the Stormcasts are a bit robotic, a bit like gods, and you have like lots of different versions, but they're pretty much all the same in basic shape. So painting a different style of Stormcast was interesting. And it was good. It makes I love the Shadespire group. I think that they look really good. I'll give you an example. Here we go. So the let's look at the different approximations of shape in this. So first of all, here we go. We have this is Oberyn. I think it's Oberyn, and he is a Stormcast Eternal. He's from the Celestial Vindicators. I've painted him up. I'll see if I can actually just adjust this quickly. Show you that. I painted him up. And he carries a giant hammer into combat. You can see his basic silhouette is typically Herculean, sort of giant Spartan warrior, carrying around massive hammer, smash the enemies down. Basic body shape, very sort of Grecian, Spartan in its tone. And then we have Bright Shield. I can't remember her first name, but she is a female Stormcast, and she was the first female Stormcast model that came out. As you can see, yes, she does have a female shape, but like the men, she's got sculpted sort of muscles on like that, and she does have a female figure, but it's not done to be I don't know, overly sexualized. I suppose that's what I would say. This is more sort of what you might expect from actual armor. Although I still think that probably you could wear a proper breastplate, like in Game of Thrones when Brienne of Tarth, she just wears a normal breastplate. She just wears a normal chainmail breastplate and plate breastplate. She doesn't have to have any moldings. But this is, I suppose, an artistic choice on GW's part. Anyway, but what they've done is they've even taken that even further here, because this chamber wears robes, and so you don't even have that. You have the model pieces here, as you can see. And let me see if I can find a female Stormcast here. This is a female Stormcast here. As you can see, she's wearing sort of robes, just like the males, who are also wearing robes. And it means that they can put the models down without having to worry about any fallback from the body shape that they've chosen to represent. Anyway, so yeah, and even more exciting in this box set, we have the very first Stormcast War Machine, which is a giant bolt thrower, which, well, it's an artillery piece, a bolt thrower that they can use to shoot against the enemies, which is wonderful. Stormcast War Machines and Stormcast Magicians in the first box set. You can't beat it. I can't wait to add these to my Celestial Vindicators. They're going to be really, really good. I've still got my Vanguard chamber to get together, but I think I'm going to put them on hold to get these guys together first, because I really, really need some magic in my Stormcast. They tend to get pounded by magic, which is, unfortunate, because they're very powerful otherwise. And I'm not saying that as in, that suddenly GW's covered a base and now it's just like, oh, we have to give Stormcast everything. No, every race has access to everything. Even when you're looking at the dwarves have models that can unbind spells. They may not cast spells, but they can unbind spells, and they have priests. And priests have basically interesting because they cast spells which they can cast spells, but those spells are completely they're prayers, and so those spells aren't actually able. You can't unbind them. You can't stop them. New rule actually in Age of Sigmar version 2, which I absolutely love and adore, is that now they have made unbinding worth it. You can actually unbind spells from 30 inches away. Yes, your regular spells have their normal range, but 30 inches away, that means your wizards have a major role on the battlefield. And talking about wizards, this is why I wanted to segue into wizards, is because alongside the Games Workshop box, we also got this box set here, the Malign Sorcery Battle Magic expansion. And what this is for the very first time is we are having models for magical spells. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. We've got, you can see here, if we go here, we've got things like the Burning Skull, Giant Pendulum trading black flames, Swords of Revealing Light, Quicksilver Swords, Chromatic Cogs. Every one of these is living spells, and what you do is you cast them, giant gnashing jaws on the table, and what you do is you buy these models like you would normal models with points, and then these are all playable in the game. I'm going to open this up. It's actually removed the little plastic seal earlier, but this is what I've got here, and actually, if we open it up, it's actually got, it actually comes in its own little plastic bag full of stuff. This is the Malign Sorcery, I don't know what you call it, battle bag? I don't know. It's just a plastic bag, but I've never seen stuff being held in a plastic bag before. And it's zip-locked as well. And I'm just going to take out one or two items. I don't think I can take out everything, because if I do, I will not ever be able to get it back in. But show example, it's quite interesting because all of these models are in colored plastic. So sort of a dark blackish gray plastic we have over here. We have blue plastic, purple, red, and gold, sort of a brownish gold for the bases of the magic. And what's interesting about this is, of course, it's so that you can play the game straight away. But look at the size of this. This is one model. This is one model. This is all one model. This is the Purple Sun of Xerxes, and it is one model. The size of that is the jaws. Look at that. I'm trying to find it, and look at that. It's about the size of my palm. It's huge. And then it's got this giant sort of like tidal wave thing going on. I mean, you don't really get to appreciate the real size of these models until you see them in your hand. they will absolutely change the battlefield. These are not new. These are not like basic things. We've got the sort of the wall of prisms here, which you can set up as cover for your units. I mean, these are massive and they are beautiful. I'm looking forward to using these in the games. And how they work is these are living magic spells. So you cast them and they stay on the table and they wander around doing damage. And, you know, you can take control of someone else's spell and throw it back at them. It's a new dynamic magical concept for Age of Sigmar. And this is the beginning of this. I'm going to be trying to get all of this together so that I can introduce it to my class, who I've got some interesting people who want to play it at my school where I work. And so what I'd like to do is maybe do some introductory gaming sessions at all, maybe at some point in the afternoon. I know that there's another teacher at school who's very interested in Magic the Gathering. And so maybe we could combine it and do sort of a wargaming and card gaming group. And let's see if I can get these back into the bag a little bit later. I don't need to do it right now. Also, within the box, you get a lovely little instruction manual, but you also get the Malign Sorcery book. Now, this book contains spells, many, many spells. Spells for all the different realms, and also lots of different artifacts from different realms. So you can actually design your characters to carry specific weapons to represent the magic, the spells, and the magical items that they've taken from their realms. And the thing I like about it is you can say, you know, my guys come from a particular realm, and you can take the magical items from that realm into battle with you. So, for example, my Celestial Vindicators come from Ugu, which is the realm of shadows. They were my backstory for my guys is that they were sent there. They've kind of created a sort of truce with Malarian and Marathi's people. They are, I'd like to at some point maybe combine them with some Shadow Elves when they come out. So this is really cool. And I'm going to try and just quickly open this up now. Don't want to cut my own book. I think I'm really going to need an instruction manual for these spells because I have no clue how to put that sun together. I'm looking forward to it though. So this is the Malign Sorcery book, shows you how to put everything together. Look at that. There's like 10 steps for that one sun. The rest of them I'm pretty sure you can put together very easily. Most of these are just like one-piece models or two-piece models. But that purple sun takes like 12 steps to put together. You actually have to construct a sun around a circular thing, which is to provide strength and stability for it. Ugh, that is a nasty looking spell. And then down here, we also have the, this is the Malign Sorcery book. And let me get this off. And this is the expansion to show you how to use magic. As you can see, we've got like living spells and things happening there. Talks about how the different magic is used. A lovely painting guide within it and how they should look. Little history of each of the spells. And of course, it also includes rules for playing Warhammer Skirmish. So playing a much smaller game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. A number of battle plans. And excuse me. Got a bit of a sneeze that was going on there. And also some lovely little how to play Path to Glory on the realm's edges. Brilliant. And of course, at the end here, lots of all the different realms, the different spells, the different weapons each realm gets. It's brilliant. This is going to make games of Age of Sigmar really interesting and completely tactical. Really weird. Really weird. When I first saw it, I was so weirded out. I was like, "What? This is really strange. This is going to change the game entirely." But what a lovely change and really interesting. I'm interested to see some battle reports and watch some battle reports and play some games and see how it all works. Okay, and finally, just one more little thing which came out, and I'm going to show to you now. And this is I've been waiting all day to do this stream so that I could show these things off. And this is this year's General's Handbook. For those people who don't know what the General's Handbook is, basically every year, GW brings out like a digest full of new stuff. This is the 2018 book. The first last year's was 2017, and then the first book came out 2016. And every year they bring out a new book. And as you can see, all the way through here, there's information on battle plans, how to play different. This is all stuff that adds to the stuff from the original core book. Information here on playing in different realms, narrative play, lots of points, scenery, war scrolls, so how to use different scenery, changes to different battle tombs, allegiance abilities, how to use different allegiance abilities, also command traits. I'm wondering whether the previous book is still important, because it does have Path to Glory in there, and I'm wondering whether that's still effective. I need to actually contact GW and ask them about this. But yes, also allegiance abilities for different armies, like, for example, Slanesh or the Bray Herd or the Seraphon, all these things to sort of add to the Fire Slayers and other armies to make them a bit more punchy in close combat and different things. Different armies. Okay, so so this is the last book that I have to show you. This is the General's Handbook, and you don't need to have this straight away. If you want to get into Age of Sigmar and you really want to get started, and you really like either of those two armies in the Soul Wars box set, I highly recommend that if you want to just buy one army, that you split the cost with someone and you buy the book, you buy the army sort of from the box, if you know what I mean. So you buy one half, the other person buys the other half. Maybe you sort of share the core book between you, or maybe one of you gets the book and the other one pays a little bit less. But because the core rules are all on the internet, you can get them for free. The General's Handbook, I would suggest, if you've played a few games, if you're into sort of building up an army and you really want to play an army that maybe isn't one of the original ones, maybe you want to play Free Peoples, or you want to play the Fire Slayers, or you want to play the Seraphon, the Lizardmen, or you want to play Wood Elves, the Wanderers, then I would suggest you get this book. It also has some rules for how to play aerial battles. So yes, you can now play fighting up in the air. Rules for narrative games, lots of different battle plans and allegiance abilities, plus all the rules for summoning are now in this book, which is necessary if you want to be, for example, playing something like the Lizardmen, who can summon every turn and bring more models back into play. Other than that, also a very interesting thing here, I had to point this out to someone. If you want to know which armies your army can ally with, now they very helpfully put a sort of there we go. They very helpfully put together a sort of a chart of which armies can work for each other. So, for example, Caradron Overlords, they can ally with Dispossessed, which is the regular dwarfs, Fire Slayers, Ironworld Arsenal, and Stormcast Eternals. Stormcast Eternals can ally with everybody. And that's quite interesting. I'm really surprised that the Free Peoples don't have the ability to ally with the Caradron Overlords. It seems like the Stormcast are kind of like they've kind of been designed to be the patch for every army that might be missing something. So you can take a few Stormcast which have their own abilities. Yeah, so this is the last book. This is the General's Handbook, and it's a good book to get, particularly for background and for more rules on how to play particular styles of game, more battle plans. Love it. I'm going to work my way through all these battle plans. I'd like to do some reviews of them as well to say which ones I think are good battle plans to play. Okay, so that's everything for today. That was my unboxing video. That's me done, and I would like to end my stream here with a positive note saying, I'm really loving the direction that Age of Sigmar is taking at the moment. I'd like to introduce you to some actual armies when I've got them put together. Yeah, I think that this is a really exciting time to be an Age of Sigmar player, and also a really time to be a new Age of Sigmar player. If you haven't played before, it's a great time to get involved in the hobby. They've made the changes. You can come in you can basically come into Age of Sigmar 2.0. I'd like to think maybe the whole of last year was the alpha, and they were trying all these different things, and now it was the beta, and now we're actually in production, like 1.0, 2.0, version 2.0. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And I'd like to say cheerio, and please keep on gaming. All right, this is Manuel Games signing off. Bye.